Hello, everybody. Got to put my mic on. Patience is a virtue. Actually, let me put it here. What the heck's going on here? Very odd. This is not working for some reason. It's not going in tonight. Huh. Can everybody hear me okay? How's the sound? Is it all right? I'll speak up. Hi, Rosie. Hi, Jeffrey. Shalom, Jeffrey. He's a member of the tribe. Hi, Tammy. Hi, Susan. Oh, Rosie, hello. Hi, Mary. Oh, it's Mary's birthday. We all want to wish Mary a happy birthday. Hopefully, if she sticks around, we'll pull one card from the Orisha deck today. I want to work with the Orisha deck today. That's from the Yoruba tradition. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Charles and friends. Tammy, how are you? So, would everybody like to hear a bedtime story that's really, really heavy? Okay, so tonight's meditation was really, really, really pretty heavy. Very cerebral. So if your brain's gonna crack, I get it. Who wants like an intellectual challenge at 11:14 at night? All right. My Giddisha brethren is in for it. Okay. So let me get myself comfortable. I'm going to get. All right. So there's a couple things going on before we get started. What do people think about the races? What do people think about Lindsay Graham? He's down 2 points. He's losing. If it continues on this trajectory, he's going to lose the election. So that kind of upset me. Like I'm a sensitive being. I'm a remote viewer. You folks know how naive I am. I have to hold on to my naivete. So I thought when Trump was sick and when I had the vision of Lindsey Graham saying, you need to step aside or whatever, I thought it was for the good of the country. When I had that vision a couple of years ago, I didn't know it was because he was worried he wasn't going to get reelected. So actually, the intention of Lindsey Graham was entirely selfish, evidently. Some people are laughing. They're like, oh, Whimsy, you're so naive. Did you really think that? But I liked Lindsey Graham. I went into his salon. He was dressed like Mae West. People were having drinks. They were playing bridge. It was a very nice salon. It was a Southern salon with a very nice Southern feel. And after that, I liked him. And now I realize that in the end, the real reason he was talking privately with the president is because his argument, if you go into the remote, is that, please, Mr. President, you have to give us this. You're sick. You got COVID, blah, blah, blah. Excuse me. Thank you, by the way. I did move the spores. But anyway, Um, he did this thing, right? They're trying to save the Senate. So what do? They can't save the executive. Mr. President, just go do something sane and get out get out of here so we can at least save the Senate. So it was really just about excuse me, I'm gonna grab some water. It was really about him saving his own career. What do you guys think? Does anybody have an opinion about that? But I still believe oh, by the way, you should see the pictures I took today. I went to my old medical school. I took photographs of the medicinal mushrooms. I did not take samples, but what they had done, because Paul Stamets lectures there, they had put spores, they had raked, raked them into the lawn, and then they had crisscross left them all over the lawn. And when I got to NUNM and I was doing my mushroom hunting, I saw a log, and all along the log was Trimetis, a turkey tail, which some of you may know is being researched for breast cancer. And then when I was looking, I saw another mushroom that looked almost like it had the same shape, as an oyster. And it was actually a shiitake. They had planted shiitake. All right, I'm done coughing. Okay, so sorry. Any questions about the whole Lindsay Graham thing? Yeah, the private Lindsay Graham is actually a really nice person. I liked the energy. People were hanging out. It was an intellectual environment. It was a sophisticated Southern environment. But you have to sign an NDA to go. I didn't move the spores. The thing is that what I'm trying to do with the spores is it was not a sealed container. I put it in, I'm trying to grow out of sandwich bags. And yes, I did get a little bit of a spore thing going on. So from now you can get grow kits and just inoculate that way. And it's all sealed so that you don't have these kinds of problems. But I'm also going to just start growing mushrooms like the button mushrooms. When you buy mushrooms, whether it's button mushrooms or anything else, if you have compost that you're growing, you've got a good soil there, maybe some wood chips, just throw it in the wood chips and you can wind up with beautiful mushrooms just coming out of your wood chips. A lot of people are doing that. But don't do what I do. I put my whole face, like today, I got so excited, I crawled up in the dirt. And yes, I am allergic. That's why I cough in the fall. I do this every year, and every year I get this cough. But it goes away in the spring, and it's because of the spores. All right. So tonight's meditation, I focused on Donald Trump and the fact that people were concerned that he was having panic attacks, that he was having anxiety. But what was interesting is that when I focused on this, the feeling was that it was more the facet of being a narcissist. That was the facet or the wound that I connected with. It was an individual that constantly has to rotate and reinvent aspects of themselves in order not to face their inner fear of self-blame. So the narcissistic wound, oh, thank you, Mr. RN. So in plainer words, where I went with the, I need an RN right now. Where I went with this meditation was that because of when these traumas had happened to this individual, he did not have a fully developed brain. The trauma sits in an, we've talked about this in the past. Much brain development happens after birth. The first 24 months, there's accelerated growth. I know I'm coughing a lot. I've gotten emails about it. I'm not doing it deliberately. All right. So, should I keep going if I'm still coughing? I don't know. I'm thinking of, because I'm just coughing so much right now. Okay. Sorry about the cough though, but yeah. Oh, also, I'm on this computer because the sound is dying on the other computer. So hopefully everybody can hear me better now. Yeah, I have to drink tea. It's in my bronchi. I did it the night I did that video. That's why I took a couple days off. Yeah, so getting back to this remote view. So when I was focusing on Donald Trump and when I was focusing on the trauma, it was a feeling that my mother had left. My mother had left me. My mother had left me all alone with this horrible, mean person because she didn't love me. And my deepest fear is that I deserve this. So that was this terror that I'm going to be in this situation because I deserve it. So that's kind of telling in this remote because it speaks about how narcissism is a very deep wound about self-blame. So what he's doing when he reinvents himself or he lies is he's trying to evade this primal fear, not just that he's a loser, but that he's responsible. So his mother left, he's responsible. His mother left because he's a bad boy. His mother left because he's a failure. The world looks the way it does because of him. He drove his mother away. He made his mother sick. Me. The egocentric personality of a child who's very, very young. So what happens to that child, sometimes it can be something like physical abuse, fear of life, fear for one's life. Definitely abandonment by the mother is one of the most traumatic wounds to happen to somebody when you're talking about conditions where you have a detachment taking place. So he has a detachment disorder. So when I went into the meditation, he had detachment disorder, an underdeveloped brain, and specifically an underdeveloped limbic system. So the limbic system is what we call the rabbit brain. It evolved later on. It's the ability to love. Ah, thank you, Irma. See, now I can breathe again. All right. So what happens when we look at abnormal psychology, abnormal brain development, children that haven't been adequately rocked in order to stimulate neuron development, also nutritional deficiencies, contaminated water, all the things that could, malnutrition, all the things that could affect a child's development. But just one-on-one eye contact with a parent, being rocked, being held, aping so that you have the ability to recognize the emotions of another human being. So when a child doesn't get that, mommy interacting and learning facial expressions, when there's a detachment, they think that that may be the point at which that individual has trouble connecting or empathizing or even being consciously aware that they're causing harm to another individual. So they'll show a psychopath pictures of a woman screaming and they just won't get it. That kind of detachment disorder. So that's what we're seeing in this person. So he reinvents himself and says, oh, I'm the best golfer in the world. Oh, I'm the best president in the world. Always to evade and escape. My mother left because I'm unlovable. I can't be loved. There's something inherently wrong with me that has caused me to be someone that no one is capable of loving. And so he secretly feels that. And what happens when you secretly think that you're unlovable? You become somebody who's so annoying because you've got a personality disorder that now nobody loves you, right? So the thing you flee is the thing you find. Now, like I said, this is going to get really, really complicated, really, really fast because, like I said, tonight's meditation is really, really deep. Is everybody ready for this rabbit hole? Because we haven't entered the rabbit hole yet. Is everybody with me? Are we ready? All right, so we have a traumatized individual. He's traumatized approximately, the traumas seem to start very early on. And it appears to be a detachment disorder, and there seems to be, it's before the age of 5 when children have no understanding that it's not all about you. It's not all about you, Donald. It's not all about you, Jane or Barbara or Paul or Mary or whoever has this type of wound. But if you have this type of wound, you may come to believe it's all about you. Oh, thank you, Pamela. It's awful sweet of you. An example would be a friend of mine who has a mother-in-law who is very much involved in magical thinking, probably because she had a parent that was a narcissist. Perhaps she has a narcissistic wound, and so she herself is stunted. So it's all about her, because all a narcissist is doing 24 hours a day is nursing their wound. They're nursing their wound, that primal wound. It's all this. I am unloved and it's my fault. Me. I know this aspect, right? If you're an empath and you've had early trauma, then this is one of the demons you face. You want to be mindful, but you don't want to be a narcissist. And the reason why I think Spirit is having this deep conversation is because so many people that watch this channel are in training. They're remote. You folks are going into training as remote viewers yourselves. So, and some of you are already working. So, thank you. I said thank you to Pamela. So, these are the kind of things we got to work out. We got to work it out in our own psyche before we go out there and become, Gaia's defense system, right? Which is what we're trying to do here. We're trying to save the planet and build people up. So the narcissistic wound plays itself out where the individual is stuck at the age of the egocentric idea that it's all about me. My parents got a divorce because I'm a bad. Why don't you love mommy anymore? Is it something that I did? I'll be a better child. So this person goes out and they try to overcompensate with showmanship. Also, if nobody paid attention to them, they often become artists or actors or comedians, right? Unfortunately, in my case, my name's Whimsy. I kind of got no choice, right? People will come up with personas or ways to cope with this primal wound, and they will make a religion of it. And the religion and the fantasies and the stories we construct in order to avoid the trauma, that the bad things that happened to us when we were children, is I did this, I chose this, I chose my parents, I'm in complete control, I am a superpower, I can fly, right? It's all about me. I chose my parents. What did I do that caused this? How, what kind of horrible child am I that happened to me? Me. So the stunted psychological development leads to stunted spiritual development. The spiritual expression is narcissistic. So that's where the narcissist thrives, right? It's all about me. So they become gurus, right? They start channels where it becomes a personality cult. That's why we always say, slap me down occasionally, keep me in line. It's okay. This is not a personality cult. We're not going to go there, right? We always have to check ourselves, right? Because there's a lot of weird stuff out there. So we always have to ground ourselves, call ourselves out, have honest conversations. This is just my opinion. So what happens, and it's going to get even deeper, is that people will construct worlds to live in where they feel safe, regardless of what's happening in this world. And they can be quite content in the most horrible conditions in this world because the story they've constructed in their mind is so solid. And that's a wonderful thing if you're in a high stress situation. For example, the first 15 years of my life, I've talked openly about this, was the same stress level as a hostage situation. It literally was an extremely high level of stress. So one of the ways we coped was storytelling. We would invent these amazing stories of other worlds and magical places, right? Like Pan's Labyrinth, right? Anne Frank's diary, going into worlds that are not this world. So what happens is that the disassociation, the original disassociation, your mother who brings you to Earth, the mother is the Earth. If that relationship breaks, you didn't get breastfed, you didn't get held, you didn't get that connection, then there's a disassociation with this Earth, a lack of empathy, a lack of connection to this Earth, a lack of feeling of responsibility to the Earth, and a feeling that it's all about me and it's not about anybody else, and everybody else is just an extra in my movie. And we see that that expressed in the spiritual community, this kind of young type of spirituality, where we see emotionally stunted individuals, and we also see quite a bit of pedophilia in those communities, where we see the magical thinking and it's all about me and you caused this. We also see a lot of pedophilia. For example, in Hollywood, where I used to live, there's still a statute of limitations. So if a person was abused as a child and now they're an adult, they can't file. That's not true in New York. Why? Because we have it's been talked about very openly, Hollywood has an epidemic. So how do the Tories of Hollywood, who are the Tories of Hollywood, right? Who are the aristocrats, the gods of the gods? It's the studio execs, right? The studio execs are going to get what they're going to get. They're going to do what they're going to do. And there's nothing you can do about it. And if you don't play along, we will ruin your career. So how do people cope with a hostage situation? Your career is on the line. Your family's being threatened. You got a church or whatever may be after you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. People go off into fantasies and they join cults. It's very common in Los Angeles. And what's the message? And of course, the money is all coming from the Hollywood execs. But what's the message of these cults? It's all your fault. You created it. You don't need to file a police report. You are an inherently bad woman, man, child, and it's all about you. The violence is happening because of you alone. You are causing this. So again, it plays itself out as the narcissistic wound. So why are we having this conversation? We're having this conversation because if we in this community don't heal the narcissistic wound, it will play itself out over and over and over again. And it's probably the biggest matrix we're going to have to work ourselves out of. So I got an email from someone on Facebook that thought I was suffering, and rightly so, because I had talked about my story. And this individual very lovingly wanted to do a past life reading to help me find out my connection with, the kidnapper or whatever. And this person was coming from a very loving place, but I just don't believe in that anymore. I mean, I just don't, perhaps, consciousness, I think there's a good chance. I think there's some significant evidence that consciousness exists after death. If you're just asking me my personal opinion, I guess I'll find out when I get there. That's not really the focus of this channel. The focus of this channel is to help people break free of these stories we've constructed because we don't feel safe, because bad things have happened. And to recognize the fact that, and this again goes even deeper, that this is very Dickensian, right? There's a fun word. I love that word, Dickensian, right? It's very much the Victorian era, right? When the aristocrats were collapsing, what happened? What did the brilliant aristocrats during the time of, they're always coming up with wonderful way, like that, the reptiles that they are, they want to keep power, right? They want to keep their victims. Got to convince the victim that they're asking for it. So they had unbelievable poverty in London. People, 90%, they were working in London. I think 90% of the money they got was, to pay the rent. People were forced into prostitution. Children were stealing bread to keep from starving. And what did the lizards do? Disgusting child, horrible child, look at you, you're dirty, look at you, you're filthy, you can't read, you can't write, what have you done to cause this situation? Oh, you're from the lower classes, off you go. 7 years in prison, or sell you off to go be trafficked to the United States where somebody could buy you for 7 years. That's the narcissistic wound playing itself out. Who benefits from the narcissistic wound? The reptiles. The reptiles benefit from the narcissistic wounds. So how do we live spirituality without the narcissistic wounds? By recognizing that it's not all about me. And if you were the victim of a violent crime in childhood, yes, you were a victim. We need to bring that word back. It's not a dirty word. Victimizer is a dirty word. They're also trying to take away our language, right? If there was no victim, there was no crime. Better not say you're a victim. So we mustn't confuse narcissism with spirituality. It's not the same thing. It's narcissism, and it's cruel. And to have a child be abused in the way that some children have been abused, and then to have the audacity to say to that, a survivor, that they caused it, is, in my opinion, not only amoral, but reprehensible and unforgivable. So, I don't call that spirituality. I call that narcissism and it's antisocial. And that is the world that Donald Trump lives in. Now, you can all attack my opinion. It's okay, Michelle. It's another thing. I think forgiveness is overrated. Why forgive someone that hasn't changed? They're still creating new victims. Why, you know, be like my cat. Fight back. Fight for your life. Your life is worth fighting for. Know your rights. Guy is angry. That goes for the men too. I think that people sometimes think that I'm only talking about the women. There's a lot of men that have been victims of horrible abuse. I have a lot of patients that are men that tell me horrible stories. And it's usually because they don't want to play along with a sociopath. Yeah, I wouldn't forgive that. You know what they used to do in the old days to a man that did that to a child? This will make everybody feel better. Does anybody want a happy story so we'll have sweet dreams tonight? Of what the ancient peoples of the Levant used to do. If somebody abused their child in that manner, I think that the Zoroastrian might have been linked to this because they, some of the early religions, they had the idea of two gods, the earth, and also the idea that the earth and the sky were lovers, right? And they made love, and that when the rain came, and then the land was fertilized. But what they would do to somebody like that was they said, the earth has rejected you. If you hurt a child like that, the earth has vomited you up. The mother, she don't want you. So what they would do is they would put the person up high. Does anybody know about this? It's mentioned in the Poisonwood Bible book. And the person would die up there. They would just leave them there as a testament. And people in the village would just watch them. And then the buzzards would come, and they weren't permitted to be buried in the earth. Yeah. She sent her buzzards instead. So anybody who's been a victim of child abuse, that should make you feel a lot better. Now that's the natural order. Hi, Terry. Hi, Mighty Blues. Hello, Patrick. Yeah, of course, they thought they wanted Brexit because they didn't want those slimy, dirty people coming to our country. I did a remote view, by the way, of Richard Branson for somebody, and I had a thing about Richard Branson. People were getting foreign visas. People were they had the only paycheck for their family from some of these countries. They spoke French. People like Richard Branson gave them jobs working for Virgin Atlantic. They're losing. When I did the remote, people were crying. People were hugging. They were crying, and they were going back to wherever because they had lost their visas. Because of COVID and everything else that's going on. It was just heartbreaking to get that remote, and to see also that there are people out there that are aristocrats and wealthy like Richard Branson that are, really giving immigrants a chance and giving people, people who speak multi-languages, giving them visas, opportunities to break the cycle of poverty, and it's just so tragic what's happening all over the world right now. I got hit also that some Eastern European airlines are going to be shutting down. So a lot of the women, the flight attendants, are going to have to go back into those extremely horrifying, depressed areas and go from a safe job to a not so safe job. The airlines are just, oh my God, it's just so bad. It's the people that were just making it out of poverty that are the ones that are really slipping in this economy. Okay, so I think we're going to do something a little different tonight. We're going to do a simple prayer. Yeah, super truthful is super truthful. Thank you, girl. or boy, I don't know which I'm talking to, or they, whatever you choose to be acknowledged as. Yeah, hegemony, right? Get the natives to hurt one another, right? Get the Zulu and the Kozu to kill one another, right? The Afrikaans did that. Now they're whining that they want to go on an island or something. I say put them on one of those sinking islands in the Indian Ocean. You wanted to live on an island. You could do your laundry. You can live on a sinking island in the, oh my God, I can't believe I'm being so mean. Oh my God, it's late. Nobody should laugh at that. Oh, good. Super. I'm holding out hope. You know how naive I am. All right, let's do a prayer together. All right? That made me laugh. Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and my viewers as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Sorry, I'm still thinking about that. Give us the clarity and the wisdom needed to empower us on our journey to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, for the planet, for the people we love, and to help those we have strife with. And together we say, Amen. I was just thinking somebody needs to teach them paddleboarding. You know, paddleboarding, because does anybody know anything about that? They want to exit, they want their own country, the white South Africans, and they're talking about an island, and the joke is on them because they're sinking. Oh my God. And half of them don't even know how to iron a shirt. I mean, it's just like, sure, you can go out there. I'll even send you a week's worth of pressed laundry. I'll press it myself. There you go. All right. I'm sorry. I'm in trouble. I had a little bit of happy juice before the night started. Just half a glass. All right. What I'll say, we're going to pull an Orisha. We're going to pull 3 Orisha. Wow. So the Orisha that are coming to us, this is from the Orisha tradition. This is the Yoruba of Nigeria that I've been really connected to for about 30 years, actually. But the message we're getting from the Orisha has to do with, they say it's the beginning of the drum beats. So it's like a feeling of the drum beats. And the Orisha that's connected with is Chango. And Chango is bravery. He's expressed in the Western archetype as the Judah, brave, red, leader of the tribe, is to die for what he believes in. The first cowrie and it's fire, it's Chango energy. So it's similar to the Ace of Wands. So we begin the movement, right? We begin the action, and then 5 cowries. So so there's a feeling also here of conflict. So our voting there's problems with the voting. There's continued problems with our voting. This is a feeling like we're going to have to fight a lot harder than we thought. And then Chango, the warrior. We're being asked to be warriors. Wow. Not good. Not good. But it is good in the sense that, we shouldn't apologize if we have to stand up and fight for the right thing. So, all right. Would anyone like another Orisha reading? Yeah. All right. We'll look at the check. Whether or not people are going to be getting the check. Yeah, thank you, Michelle Taylor. I don't usually drink. I get very silly when I drink. I can't drink red wine. I can drink Chardonnay, but it can't be too sweet. The stimulus check. They're fighting. 5 of Wands, man. They're fighting. They're fighting about it. Nine coconuts, 9 of Pentacles. We'll get it. 7 of Wands. We're fighting. See, we're fighting. 5 of Wands. So everything is a fight. You know what's going on? I think Mitch McConnell is refusing to give money or to make a deal until we agree to put this person through, put Amy Barrett through. I think that this is kind of he's using Amy Barrett as a bargaining chip, or he's using the stimulus as a bargaining chip for putting her through. It's not about being a nice person. It's not about being moral. It's about winning. This is what he wants. Remember when we did the remote a couple of years ago? It's all about the courts. It's all about the courts. It's like, do you ever think of anything else? Remember that? Those of you who've been with the channel for a while? It was just over and over. I love brandy. You know what I like? I like, and I love amaretto, but I like the sweet brandies. I never drank, but if someone gave me a taste, I would enjoy it. Okay, so I'll do a throw on, see, time is of note. It doesn't matter anymore because it's COVID. Just going to check Trump's emotional well-being. I think his wife might leave. It's interesting. Gosh, this is crazy. I think that she's going back into negotiations with Trump, and I think she's considering walking. This is Oshun. She's a daughter of Oshun, but it's a low level. Beauty and gold and vanity. That when it's in a low vibration, high vibration, it's fertility. Low vibration, it can be powdering your nose and You know, I would not be surprised if Trump was a child of Oshun as well. She will often take orphans, but she has that aspect where she can be quite vain. I'm going to check the election with the Orisha cards. Yeah, she came up in Trump's cards as negotiating. She wants to renegotiate her prenup again. She does it every couple of years. You know, just because it showed an aspect of Oshun, which is like giving the walking papers, because Oshun is the most beautiful Orisha. I mean, she's the stunningly beautiful girl who she can have any suitor she likes. She's often quite striking features. She will just talk to the hand. I'm out of here. I'll just find another person. I mean, Jerry Hall would fall into this category. This is often the patron saint of courtesans. You know, in Louisiana, you'll often have like the House of Oshun will be for the beautiful women, right? Okay, I'm gonna check the election. Yeah, I will. I'm going to do the election, and then I will look at Thailand next. Interesting. We win, but man, we're gonna have to watch this like a hawk. This is Four of Pentacles. This is like, a microscope camera. And this is Chango again saying you're gonna have to fight. So they're gonna try and pull something. And Wands is to fight, but it's, Six of Wands is to fight for home. It's the sixth energy, home and hearth. They're not just going to get up and leave. They're going to fight and tooth and nail any way they can to hold on to power. That's, 'tis everything a season, and this is the time of Chango. This is the time of Mars. This is the time of red. This is the time of the beating of the drums. This is the time of Kali energy that's coming up. And so it's very dangerous energy if it's not if we don't use it properly, right? We don't want to hurt anybody. We want to use the passion in the pursuit of justice, making sure people vote. Everybody should vote. And be a democracy. And I think that's what the cards are talking about. And also the fact that the Four of Pentacles is there tells us we have to make absolutely sure, particularly in some of those swing districts, that they're not getting rid of, we have to have ACLU lawyers literally everywhere. It's unfortunate. But that Four of Pentacles, I read that as like, the Buddha card. Take a look. So it is what it is. The narcissist, yeah, because they breed. But the British aristocracy is based on narcissism, right? They didn't, what happens during the Industrial Revolution? People fought for social change. I like to watch this mudlarking show where they go along the Thames. How do you pronounce it? and they collect things from other centuries. And they found a pendant from a girl who was 7 years old. And it was the name of the children's prison and her name and her birthday. And it was what she wore around her neck. And they found it. And then they found the original records. She'd been starving to death in the docks. Maybe her mother had died or whatever. And she stole some bread and they gave her 7 years. So lizards they don't love their children, the most primitive brain, because they don't have a limbic system. They don't have a fully functioning limbic system. They have only a primitive limbic system. So they will just lay their, the more primitive lizards will lay their eggs and just leave. And so if they're stuck in the same pen, they might even eat their babies, right? So you can stay in the matrix and they can just come and feed on us occasionally, right? Oh, yes, it's all my fault. I created this because I dreamed up an opium fantasy about, being a wicked pirate. And, I hate myself. And, I must have been the worst child in the world to have created to have incurred such horrible abuse. So this is what helps Tories and the aristocrats stay in power. I need to convince you that you're a dirty little skank, right? Then you won't file a police report. Not that the police are going to do anything, right? I had a friend that got attacked in LA. She got assaulted in LA, and the police were like, "What do you want us to do about it? Could you file the report?" It's too much work. So there you go. How's everybody holding up? I want people to be angry. I want to make sure everybody gets righteously angry and gets everybody out and votes. No, it wasn't a hoax. It's more horrible than a hoax. It's more, because I did a remote view on it. It's more horrible than a hoax. He stopped being tested possibly as early as late April because he didn't like the feel of it going up his nose because he's emotionally 3 years old. And then when other people were going to take it, he was like, "Stop it. Don't do it. I'm not doing it. You don't do it. It's stupid. Because if you do it, then I'm going to feel pressure that I have to do it. And I don't want to do it. I don't want that thing up my nose. And I already did it 3 times. It was negative. So leave me alone. And so what if I get sick? Because we have herd immunity, and they told me everything was going to be okay. So, it's like, I don't want the responsibility. And it's unpleasant. It's that kind of an energy. So what happened? So the White House became a super spreader. But it gets even more horrible. Who knows how long this guy was asymptomatic? So everybody is blaming it on the Amy Barrett thing. And they're hiding something under the guise of HIPAA, even though it's a public health concern. And so therefore it doesn't follow the same guidelines. But who needs the facts? He could have been infected 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. And he could have simultaneously been infecting hundreds of people for the last 6 weeks, which is really pretty horrific, particularly if they start doing contact tracing. Can you imagine the lawsuits? And I hope there will be lawsuits. I can imagine that some of his staff are definitely going to sue. They were pressured to put their lives at risk. Oy, oy, oy. Does anybody know if Kellyanne's okay? Free Melania. Yeah, I mean, this idiot put her child's life at risk. I'd be out the door. I mean, how much more does the one thing she maybe loves is her son. So, I'm not a parent, but if anybody threatened my kid, man, I would just, I'd be English of a different kind. I wouldn't be the victim. I would be like, hang him upside down, hand me the butter knife. You hurt my child. I'm going to skin you. Yeah. Totally justified if someone hurts your kid. That's how I feel. What's going on in Texas? What's the latest horror? I'll go ahead and do a throw if people like. Let's check Texas. Yeah, I saw corruption over Texas. And Harrison's winning by 2 points. People are disgusted with Lindsay Graham. They feel like he believes in nothing. And there's some missing money with Lindsay Graham that's going to come out. That's even more what I think people are upset about than everything else. But what are we doing? I got lost. I'm having a menopausal moment. What are we looking at? Oh, Texas is right. Texas. Watch, it's going to come up Django again. This is weird. This is like you guys have a militia. You have like a state militia or something? I see people on horsebacks waving the Texas flag like they feel they're at war with the Democrats or something. What the hell? This is like the Texas flag, like they're like coming on horseback. I mean, they perceive, okay, this is the perception that I'm getting. They perceive the left as invading their territory, as bringing in people that are invading their territory. So they're literally wanting, it looks like the state cavalry or something. I mean, it's insane. It's just insane imagery. Does anybody know what I'm getting? Does that sound weird? I mean, like people showing up are people showing up voting with their horses and crap? Or like marching with their horses? What a weird imagery. Very strange. Let me, it's going to be very, very hard to turn Texas blue because of this type of energy. I don't think if we make it, that's great, but we might not, just because of that. They really believe that Texas is for Texans and that they're still in the Alamo mindset. It's it's a very strange energy. Aw, thank you, Trisha. I love to be loved. I love you guys too. Oh, Thailand. Thailand is next. See, nobody can sleep because we're not working regular hours anymore. There are three factions that want control of Thailand. I'm getting. So what's happening is that um, there appears to also be some fighting in Thailand with different ethnic groups from different regions, certain border areas, different populations. But it looks like there's three populations or three main territories that are fighting for either independence. I know nothing about this, so I'm just reading cold, and then people can go ahead and correct me because this is just a straight remote of me just scanning. So it looks like it's three main areas of Thailand that are fighting either for independence for their province or to be fully recognized in parliament. And I think they also want to diminish the rights of the aristocracy for a lot of the reasons that people fought to be free of the aristocracy and divine right of kings in Europe. And they're talking about complaints that a lot of people have, treatment of poor people, classism, basic medical care, public health is not going to needed areas, exploitation of children. We talked about narcissism and its relationship with stunted growth, right? Stunted sexual development. The fact that pedophilia is legal, basically, child trafficking is basically legal at age 12 is legal in Thailand. So, and we have an aristocracy there, right? And it's the same dynamic: malignant narcissism, reptiles, stunted emotional development, probably poor, sent off to boarding school, right? At 5 because they're reptiles and they want to get rid of these kids as quickly as possible. So they dump them on somebody else. What a happy group of people. The people who are British that watch this channel say, God, we're really screwed up, aren't we? It's like, yeah. And the Americans, we're descended from the British, like I had my DNA done. I'm a nice Jewish. My mother's side was Jewish Hungarian, but I went and had my DNA done, and I was 55% British. So, a lot of, America, a lot of people came from Britain, and we brought certain ideas about class and power and victim bashing and all of those relics of a culture that held on to those beliefs in order to control the people, control the masses. Now that eventually makes its way, of course, as it inevitably would in the Victorian era, into the spiritual beliefs of the people, right? Times are hard. In times of stress, people will often flee to religion or spirituality or magical thinking, right? Because it's a time of high stress. There are cholera epidemics, people are impoverished. And so you have the birth of the British spiritualist movement, which is, of course, gives birth to the New Age movement. And unfortunately is heavily influenced by the aristocracy, the Tory view that, basically you're a peasant who's suffering because you brought it on yourself. Because they have no empathy, and they have no empathy because they're reptiles, and reptiles don't have a developed limbic system. And so they have a spiritual belief system that they're inherently better, that the rules don't apply to them. They can just take our money. They don't feel guilt. They just spin stories. They'll take you on a ride. They'll gaslight you. It's all made up crap so that they can get your money. You're just a dumb peasant that they were able to con with religion and whatever else they could use, or guilt or shame, or, whimsy. As a 5-year-old child, you were responsible for the fact that the warden of San Quentin in 1953 worked, I don't know these people. I, I don't know what some warden from San Quentin's decision, or the fact that some appeals, somebody listened to some parole board, somebody screwed up because there were too many people in the It's got nothing to do with me. I grew up, and when I grew up, my spirituality grew up. I used to think it was all about me because I had, we all have narcissistic tendencies if we've been wounded. And so that's why I think mindfulness is really good, and empathy is really good. So it breaks you out of that trap you might have if you are a professional empath that has a narcissist. You have the wound yourself. I mean, you can't heal it in somebody else until you recognize it in yourself. And I'm an Aries, and so I always talk about it, and it's something I have to be conscious of. And just like, and what are my triggers? Ooh, I got something. Okay, how many things did I get wrong? I thought he would resign. You always want to keep yourself humble so you don't fall into those things. Me too. The Mississippi Senate race. I don't know who's running in Mississippi, but boy, it looks like Lindsay Graham's very likely going to lose at this point. Boy, I did not. I guess we could look at Mitch McConnell too. You want to look at Mitch McConnell? That's Kentucky. Yeah. None of us is going to sleep. None of us is tired. I got the new computer so I could hang with guys. All right, we'll look at Mitch McConnell first. Oh, we should look at Amy Barrett. Okay, let's look at Mitch McConnell first. Oh, wow. He pulled 3 Orisha. He pulled 3 spiritual energies of the Yoruba. His fate, Arula tells us our fate. He cast the cowrie. And then Shango comes to fight, the righteous fight. That's like Martin Luther King energy, right? The righteous warrior. And then it is sealed. It could be that something happens to Mitch McConnell that it's like the forces in the universe are done with this guy or something. Is that weird? Laughing at that debate, not taking her seriously. That was a dumb thing to do. That's the same thing that the guy who lost to Cortez, he didn't bother to even show up to the debate. So she sat there and had all that free airtime that she couldn't afford. Thanks. And then she won. Sure, continue to treat it like a joke, Mitch. You're really impressing people. Okay. I don't know who's running in Mississippi, so I wouldn't be able to tell who's who. I can look red. I'll look red or blue. How's that sound? Okay, Cruz. All right, we'll see if Cruz is going to be reelected in Mississippi. This fighting about money. You know what? These cards are bad. people did people just stop funding the GOP? Is that what happened? It's like they're going to Mitch McConnell. There's a limited amount of money that's being doled out, and only the people who really need it are getting it. And so when you go into this energy about Mississippi, they're fighting about how the RNC is spending money because they're on a shoestring. They don't have as much money as they thought they did. And also I think they're paying some legal fees or something because Mitch McConnell is like this. Holding the money, the conflict, 5 of Pentacles, the money, fast money. They don't have money. They're running out of money. They're being outspent on ads. And so what's happening is they're taking what money they have to save the races that are on the line. But then it's like, a new hole will break in the they didn't think Lindsay Graham was going to be in this situation. So now they got to come up with a bunch of money to try and plug that hole. Now the guy in Mississippi is fighting about money with them. Hey, what about me? RNC isn't giving me anything for my campaign. You're going to be fine. What do you mean I'm going to be fine? I'm slipping. So it's that kind of a feeling. He probably will be okay, but they don't have. They're being outspent, and look, they're losing in Georgia. It just came out 538. They're probably he's probably taking Georgia. He's taking Ohio. Biden's taking Georgia. He's winning in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, by 7 points. I mean, he's slaughtered. I mean, they're all voting. People are voting now. People are doing it now. And these are the swing states. He tried to stop the early voting. They're voting in Michigan. So, they're trying to do something with this break with Biden about his son in Burisma. Is that what it's called? Was I doing one? Or should we look at Joe Biden and that Burisma thing? Let me do Biden. Let's see how his campaign's doing. Oh, Barrett. We were going to do Barrett next after that. Okay. Let's do Barrett first, and then we'll do Biden. Amy Barrett. I think it's very likely she could. There's also a possibility that they will hold the vote until after the election. There's a she has the ace. This is the equivalent to the Ace of Cups. She has the offer coming. She has the 8 of Wands. Moving in. So there's some conflict there, right? They're fighting, and then again, Chongo appears. So. Ace of Wands, 5 of Pentacles. Dang. 6 of Swords. It's fighting. That's Ogun, by the way, if you're learning about the Orisha. It's just fighting, and the fact that energy moves in, that sword energy moves in. It starts with the wands, right? The fighting with the wands. which can sometimes be bickering or arguing. It's not as severe as when you start to get swords. But when you start getting like dancing warriors, next to a 5 of wands, it's like it's going to escalate. The fighting's going to escalate. All right, let's check Biden. What's going on with Biden? He got the keys to the kingdom, 4 of wands. They hold the banner and the celebration and they walk to the gates. That's like the inauguration. Foundation card, 6 of wands. It's also 6 is home and hearth. They're in the house, right? If your birth number, if your numerology is a 6, it tends to be salt of the earth, grounding energy, home, hearth, warm fires, FDR, talking to his people on the radio. It's that 6 energy, solid foundation. Medicine woman. Jill Biden's really a very special person. Oh, she's really going to turn her position into public health. She's going to get Americans exercising. She's going to get them active, and she's going to get them up to snuff with information about health, exams. She comes with the medicine. And then the water, the trees are watered, the 6 of cups. So they will tend the gardens. They will tend the gardens. They will be. It's interesting. Jill Biden is seen from if we're talking about archetypes, she's seen as the woman that carries the balm, the medicine, and she was also seen as tending the garden for the next generation. So she'll be quite an amazing first lady. Wow. All right, are we ready to end it? Just want to give gratitude to everybody. Thank you for supporting the channel. I'm one of the weirdest people that I know. So thank you for celebrating my weirdness. And as I celebrate yours. And we are just a bunch of weird people getting together, having fun, coping with an unbelievably terrifying and stressful time. By having a little fun, raising a little money for charity, playing cards, doing readings, doing remote viewings. Sure, Michelle, what's the announcement? Thank you, Roxanne. It's a beautiful freak flag. Oh, thank you, Tamara. That's very kind of you. All right, we're waiting on an announcement. While we wait on the announcement that's being constructed that we're supposed to hear, does anybody want to give a shout out of gratitude, something good that's happened, so we can all sleep sweet dreams being happy for you? Let's share some gratitude before we close tonight. Thank you. Thanks for coming along, Song. Hi, Mark. I miss my Mark. Thank you for the Finch sent me. Finch, who's the artist he puts up the honey bears. He's this amazing artist because he takes a symbol of something that we all recognize, and it seems like something so superficial. I was talking to Mark about this, and it's just a honey bear painting. You think, it's so superficial. And the message is you really have to look deeper. It's just looks so, it's just a honey. But then when you get up close, there's all this symbols and messages, and it's very clever because you see the honey bear and then you look for the message. It's very cool. Anyway, thank you, Mark. That was very kind of you. To find out more about Finch, FNNCH, you can go to Google Images to see his honey bears. So the honey bear I got said vote. That's very cool. Thank you, Nancy. Announcement. I'd just like to ask if everyone would either pitch in towards the channel's tax bill or give her permission to use future money. It's not fair that she has to pay. No. I always do that. Thank you, Michelle. No, we do that. I've been very open about that. We have a certain amount of money. Some is portioned to buy new equipment, like we have a nice, beautiful setup here now for the channel. We might get a new microphone. And some is put for the taxes. I donate to charity above what I can. If you're giving 20%, then you're not going to be able to write off 20%. I think I don't give that much, but I give over the amount that I can write off. But it's the channel's, it's us hanging. It's cool. It's just I got to organize. That's all. But usually we're able to donate about $700 a month. Thank you, Sarah. Hello, John. Do you have something to be grateful for before we all sign off? Any British people here want to give me a tongue lashing? You're too hard on us. Oh, Japan, nice. Thank you, Michelle. It was nice of you to moderate tonight. Somebody has a dinosaur what? And the person you're talking to has a huge dinosaur-looking tail extending. What? I didn't get that. Oh, you mean like, yeah, I mean, it's trauma. I mean, we evolved. I mean, evolution is fascinating. We start as this combination of mycelium and single-celled organisms creating this beautiful symbiotic net. And, we go from having reptiles to mammals to great apes to, we keep evolving that part of the brain. And if you have trauma, there can be a head injury, there can be an infection, there can be, all kinds of reasons for abnormal brain development. But the research is pretty solid that emotional trauma, severe emotional trauma, like loss of a parent due to neglect or just simply absence, can have really pretty horrific lasting effects on brain development. All right, love and light to everybody. If you're still trying to get in for a reading, you can go to torowithwhimsy.com. And if you need to see me as a doctor, I would love that. And you can go to drwhimsy.com, DoctorWhimsy. I had the giggles tonight, and I had the cough tonight, but it went away finally, and I apologize. All right. Night, everyone. Peace out.